Okay guys, before we get started, I made a change to the loadout for heart. It was brought to my attention that the cost for the grenades were not 1 for 5, but 1 apiece. And that the satchel chargers were no longer 3, but they were 1. So when I calculated everything out, I ended up with 22 points, not 20. So reading the cards, I decided to remove the grenades, go with 3 satchel charges and the bayonet, because that's going to help with hand-to-hand combat, and also it came with 2 more experience points. So everything else basically stayed the same, but this is our new loadout for heart, and it's at the 20 points. Let's get on with the gameplay. Okay guys, let's go over a couple of things here. I'm kind of modifying the rules slightly as I'm playing this to learn. And so what I've done, when I picked the mission, I went ahead and selected a terrain card, or location card, excuse me. And I also went ahead and selected the hostiles that are going to go in there. And you'll see how this plays out. So off on the side over here, I do not have a hostile deck, a location deck, or an event deck. There will be an event. There's one with this location, which we'll see shortly, and I've already pre-drawn it. Again, it's more for me going through the rules. I understand that this is all done randomly, but to kind of speed things up, I've avoided doing that for this particular mission, and I've tried to keep this relatively short so I can get through all the base and core mechanics of the game before I open it up to full-on playing the game by the rules, if you want to call it that, and really expand the gameplay. So I've already drawn my 5 action cards. Heart has 5 health. We drew advance. Play when you, any soldier, are paying an entrance cost, add 3 to your movement value. Any soldier. Oh, that's interesting. So it sounds like if I move one soldier, I can give a different soldier 3 to their movement value. Interesting. Move out. You may perform a move without spending an action. Okay, those kind of work together. Infiltrate. Play when you are paying a nature location's entrance cost. Ignore the entrance cost penalties on hostile cards. Okay. Reloading. You may perform a reload without spending an action. And then a location marker, which in this case is just not going to be used at all. That's our starting hand. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start. And just for this exercise, if I would have been playing this without this location card already, this card says discard this card and draw a card from the location deck and add the location card to your hand. So I'm going to go ahead and discard that, and we will draw this into our hand. Boom. We have a light jungle. Free to play. Environment, fever +4. Nature, it's obstructed. Okay. So location, we're going to go ahead and play that there. Now, hostiles, we're less than 29 points, 1 hostile card. So as I said, I've already done that. So let's assume that I go to my hostiles deck, pull a card, boom, rifleman. It's also an event. Okay, there are 3 on the reticle. And the event we pull is surprise. Immediately perform an attack for a random hostile in play that is in range to attack. The hostile also attacks as normal this turn. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just leave that event card right here. I think we can see it, okay? Okay, so with our hostile, we are going to go ahead and select a target. I have them in my hand. They're targeting number 1, heart. So the event, immediately perform an attack for a random hostile in play. That's the only hostile we have in play. That is in range. Their range is 0 to 1. The hostile also attacks as normal this turn. Now, because this is obstructed, that just means I can't fire from, say, the artillery position into the mission location. But because they're in the light jungle, they can fire out of it. So obstructed does not come into play here. So when there are 3 enemies, we roll 5 minus is a miss, 6 to 8 is 1 wound, 9 plus is 2 wounds. Okay, so we have a 2 for cover. Nothing here to add any cover. I do not see that. Hand to hand is 2, but they're not going into hand to hand. They're going to fire. So 3 or higher on the red dice. And the white dice is for the wounds or damage. So we have a 4, which means they hit. 3 or less, they miss. Whew, okay, good for us. So that resolves this event. Okay guys, so here's how we're going to do this. We're not going to need the reload card yet, so I'm going to set that down. Okay, so thinking out this plan, this advanced card says play when you are paying an entrance cost, add 3 to your movement value. Now Canister has a movement value of 1, so when we move him, we're going to go ahead and use that for 3, which makes that entrance cost of 4. So he'll be able to spend an action and move into that card. Infiltrate. Play when you are paying a nature location's entry cost. This is nature. Ignore the entrance cost penalties. Wait. Ignore the entrance cost penalties on hostile cards. Okay. So there's nothing to, there are no, okay. Now that I read that, if there were entry costs on the hostile cards, which there are not, you would ignore just those with the infiltrate. Okay, so that does not help yet. I thought I misread that I could just ignore the entrance cost, but I can't. But I can, let me move without spinning an action. So let me just double check the rules on paying the entrance cost, and if that costs me action, if that can be negated. I'll be right back. Okay, so I can discard action cards to help with my movement. I have a movement of 2, which means I need to discard 2 action cards. So reloading, I'm going to discard, and infiltrate, I'm going to discard. Now keep in mind, I'm keeping my advance over here. So those are the 2. And I can actually go ahead and spend this move out card to not use an action. So I can move heart into the light jungle. Those are now discarded. So I only have 1 left, and that's going to be used I have 1 action card left, and that will be used on Canister to move him in. Now, I believe I have to do everything with this unit before I can do anything else. We're going to play it that way. Actually, no. Let me stop and read the rules. That's why we're doing this video, so I can learn. Okay, guys. It's probably in the rules. I did not see if I had to use all of my actions on one soldier before I move to another, but we're going to play it that way. Okay. So, I went ahead and moved. I did not have to spend an action. Okay, guys. When I first moved in, we're going to do hand-to-hand, but what I needed to do was roll for fever 4+. So I have a 10-sider. Let me just make sure it's a 10-sider. Yes, a 10-sider. We need to roll a 4+, or we have to remove a hardy, which we do not have. Take a wound or a suppress. Let's roll 4+. We're fine. Okay. Now, we spend 2 to do hand-to-hand attack, but because we have Silent Strike, which allows us to have Stealth Approach, which is what we have. Now, that doesn't allow us to have Stealth Approach. That's just one of the ones we have. So let's pay 1 less action to engage in hand-to-hand combat. And because we have Stealth Approach 2, we pay 1 less. So we basically don't have to pay this 2, but we still have to spend an action to do the hand-to-hand. Okay? So we're going to do a hand-to-hand, which will allow us to spend a second action to do a second hand-to-hand, at least against 2 of the 3 hostiles in that location. Okay, looking at our bayonet. If we do strong, we're going to roll 1 dice. Not sure how we do a combo yet. Let me look at that. Stealth doesn't come into play because we don't have the shadow ability on our character. Let me figure out how I'm going to do this. Be right back. Okay, guys, I think I've got this figured out. So, we've paid the 2 to do the hand-to-hand with our Stealth Approach and Stealth Approach 2, and we spent an action to go ahead and do the hand-to-hand combat, and we're going on that hostile, which is the only one in that location. Now it has a cover of 1. With our Silent Strike, we add 1 to our penetration rolls, but with the bayonet, it's -1, so they negate. So we have to roll a 1 or higher on the 6-sided dice. So we're automatically going to penetrate. Now, it's a strong attack. It has a 7 for it to hit, but we have a +1 on our attack roll. So we need a 6 or better. And if I spend an experience point, I can make that 2. We add 2 to the dice roll. Okay? A 1 is still a stumble. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the experience. I'll let her settle there. And let's go ahead and roll. An 8. So an 8, we get 1 KIA in that location. There we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and spend a second action and make a second attack. We've already paid for the cost. We know we don't need to worry about the penetration. And now the question is, do I spend another experience point? I'm going to. And maybe that's a bit much. Oh. You know what? I'm not. So we're only going to add 1 to this particular attack. We rolled a 5 plus 1 is a 6. We needed a 7. Oh, I should have spent the experience. Okay, so we do get a suppression though. That's pretty much automatic. And that's our 2 actions for heart. Okay. Oh, that was a little frustrating. Okay, let's go to Canister. So we're going to go ahead and play the advanced. So he has a movement of 1. So we can move him into this location. We can use his hardy to take care of that light jungle. And I'm going to read if he has to get rid of this or if it's automatically a 1. Meaning he maintains it. I think he has to get rid of it. Let me just double check. Yes, so he starts with a hardy of 1. We roll a 3, so he did not get over the 4+ on the fever. He's going to expend his hardy card, his hardy chick, so that he doesn't have to suffer any consequence from that, at which point he has his 2 actions. Now he cannot do hand-to-hand combat. And fire, it's at range 0, so we're going to be using his M1903A1. It's a bolt action, range of 0. Reload is 2, hit on a 7. It's bolt, so he gets 1 dice. Penetration is 1. Again, he's going to at least suppress the remaining baddie there. And he needs, as long as he doesn't hit a 2, he needs a 7 or more to hit. He's going to fire. Boom, he gets a hit. That gives us a second KIA. Now he has another action. Now this brings up an interesting thing. I can fire a grenade into this location to try and destroy one of the guns. But what I need to check is hostiles screen guns. So there will be hostiles there. They will screen the gun, but they're not there yet. So if I were to fire and I have a range of 1, these grenades can go a range of 1. Does that go directly against the structure? Or does it damage unseen hostiles that would be screening this structure? Okay, that's very specific, and I'm not sure how that plays out. Wow. So I'm going to make a call here. Looking at the rules, they're very generic, or high level, right? They don't get into a lot of specific situations. Let me just do a little peek at the rules and see if it says something about that. Actually, this is inactive. I have to activate it first. So let me see how I activate it. That might be the key to this issue. Okay guys, it's actually pretty simple. It is in the rules. So what I would do is activate this. When this becomes active, then we would activate the hostilities, the hostiles, and the hostiles would then screen the guns. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is we have 2 KIA here. I'm going to go ahead and shoot at the second one who's currently suppressed. I don't have to worry about that. He's going to spend his action. Let's just clean up this location so we don't have to worry about reinforcements. because it is a 0 and 1, but if there is no units there, then I don't have to worry about reinforcements. I'll double check that rule, but I believe that's the case. The hardy is no longer in play. So in this case, we need a 7 or higher, a 4. So they're still suppressed. Okay. That is the end of turn 7. And the hostiles are all suppressed or KIA. So they do not have any actions other than to remove the suppression for the beginning of the next turn. If I read that correctly, let's double check. Okay, so whether they're suppressed or not doesn't matter. The fact that they're there, we do a reinforcement. Okay. It's a bonsai, force 3, reinforcements 0 to 1. This gets discarded. It's not used. Okay. Now, they're suppressed, so I don't think they have any actions. Okay. Okay guys, so with the 3, there's no active enemy there. They did not get any reinforcements. This is still inactive, so there's no other hostiles. That ends the hostiles action, and the suppress counter comes off. I believe that also comes off. The turn marker goes down to 6. Okay, our actions come back. Now we're still in the light jungle. I want to check if I have to roll for the environment every turn. Let me check that. And if so, we'll make our rolls. If not, then we'll move on to our actions. Okay guys, the way I've read this, let me adjust that camera a little bit. The way I've read this is at the beginning of the turn, we do make an environment roll. So let's roll for Heart, a 7, he is okay. And let's roll for Canister, a 2, okay. So I could take a suppress or a wound. At this point, I'm going to take a suppress. Don't want to take a wound. He has 3. And I'm doing that because there's only 1 hostile. Hold on. And apparently reinforcements have showed up. If she behaves, she can stay. Okay, so we have 2 actions. We can do the same thing. We can do 2 attacks now with the hand-to-hand, which I think I'm going to do, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that. We know from last time we don't have to worry, so we're going to at least suppress them. We're going to add 1 to our dice roll, so we need to roll a 6 or higher. I'm not going to spend an experience, at least the first time. A 3. So we have suppressed them. Oh, and I needed to, I think, draw my back up to 5. Let me double check that. I may change what I did there. Yes, we draw up to our hand size. Okay, so let's see what we have. We have she's putting her head there because she wants me to rub her head. You're such a cutie. Okay, let's see, what do we have? Charge, reduce the hand-to-hand engagement cost. We don't need that. All soldiers add 1 to their ranged attacks. No. Advanced, that's going to be good for later. Assault. Okay, so if we assault, we add 2 to our attack rolls. Interesting. Each non-player soldier and squad soldier may perform a move without spending an action. Okay. So question, do we use the assault? Now, when I rolled the first dice, I wasn't going to use my experience. It would have added 2. So we're going to take the one roll that I have already done with my action. We're going to count that, because this doesn't appear to last for the whole hand-to-hand attack. But on this next hand-to-hand attack, I am going to play the assault. So I add a total of 3. And if I want to upscale that to 4, and this is up, so I don't know if I have to spend 2 experience to add basically 3, which would make this add 6 to my dice roll, which would almost guarantee I take this guy out. But we're not going to do that. This may bite me in the butt. So we're going to add 3 to our dice roll. We need a 7, so we need a 4 or higher. And I roll 1 and I stumble. Oh my God. Oh, come on. Heart, you're supposed to be my expert. Oh. That would have eliminated them. And now I have to deal potentially with more reinforcements. And I wanted to get out of this environment. This jungle is eating me up. Okay, now let me see what a stumble does. Okay, so basically a stumble is like being unloaded, so I have to reload, basically. That spends our action for that turn. It's not the worst thing that could happen. Okay, that's the end of our turn. Again, Canister suppressed. So let's go here. A 2, reinforcements are 0, 1. They don't come in. They're suppressed. They're not going to do anything. Timer goes down to 5 turns. This comes off. This comes off. Okay. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can get rid of cards and draw up. So let's start with that. We don't need to reduce the costs or hand-to-hand. I probably don't need that. The combined fire will definitely keep. We'll definitely keep the advance. Okay. This is a support. It costs 3 to retain. I think this is once I play it. I'm going to get rid of this as well. So I think I'm going to get rid of these 2 cards. I'm going to draw 2 more, 3 more. We get a cover me, go, 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 and a snapshot. I can perform an attack without spending an action. That's good because I'm going to need to spend an action to reload. Let's get our actions back. Okay, I'm going to put this here just to remind me. So this snapshot will negate that. saying, okay, to cover me, might come in. Okay, so that's what we have. So let's roll and see what happens first with our environment. We will roll for heart. So far, it's been pretty good. An 8, he's fine. Let's go to Canister. A 3, and we're gonna go ahead and suppress. This guy, even though he used his hardy, he's failed all 3 times. He is not digging this jungle today. Okay. Now again, we're on a timer. So we're gonna go ahead and do our reload. Okay, so that's an action. Then we're going to use our snapshot. We can perform an attack without spinning an action. Okay, so let's roll that. And we need a +1 on our dice roll. We need a 7, a 2. We do suppress, but we do not get rid of him. We're going to go ahead and spend another action. We're going to try yet again. We roll a 1. Great. Back to losing our footing. Man. Okay. And they're suppressed. I don't think they get to do anything. So even advanced play when a soldier is paying an interest cost, okay, or any of these things which allow me to, without spending an action. But I'm not going to move anyway. Okay, so we're going to discard. So let's go through our maintenance again. That suppression is gone. That suppression is gone. We're now down to 4 turns. I'm going to put it over here because she just keeps kicking the timer with her little feet. Okay, combined fire we might need. I'm not going to use that. And the cover me. Perform 1 attack without spending an action. Okay, that could be useful. Now, support 2, I don't know if that costs 2. It's probably 2 actions. I'm gonna get rid of the 2 support cards. So at least 2 in my hand. I'm gonna draw 3 on, because that gives me back up to 5 for my health. Snapshot again, reloading. Okay, and this just allows me to move the wounds around. Okay. So this could be interesting. So first of all, let's play the reload. We got our actions, both of them back. So now we can perform a hand-to-hand. Let's do the snapshot and do it without an action. Again, a 1. Oh my goodness. It's the 3rd time he slipped, and it's the first attack. So now I have to spend an action to be able to attack a 2nd time. I was hoping to go for a 3rd attack. Okay, let's attack hand-to-hand yet again. A 6 + 1 is 7. There it is. We got our KIA. Okay. Wow. Finally, after we've only got 4 turns left. Okay. So the suppression comes off here. There we go. And he gains an experience. Okay. And there's no enemies there, so there is no reinforcement. So we're down to 3 turns. So we roll for our environment. 6 is good. 9 is good. Okay. So now decisions need to be made. I'm going to pause this and think about it.